Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. We have a new message that wants to come out yesterday. A whole lot is happening in the world, right? A whole lot is happening in the world. The energy is very dense. It is in a state of profound metamorphosis at a visceral level. And probably you all feel that and you all know that. Especially with what has happened in the United States. I'm becoming a little bit emotional. The truth speaker has been killed, is what I hear. The truth speaker has been killed. Isn't that interesting? And we were talking about fear of persecution the other day in one of the messages. Earth-shaking events and it's heartbreaking, really. So, for our message today, it feels like the energy is allowing us to put our thoughts in order, or at least it becomes a little bit easier to manage. Although again, it's metamorphosis at a visceral level. That means that our gut is changing, so to speak. Don't know if it's correct said, honestly. Our gut is changing. Yes, it is correct. We in a sense where we are growing closer to God. But as a nation, as I want to say as humanity, but as I said, as a nation, it felt more right for one reason or another, probably because a certain nation is willing or ready to grow closer to God, or all these events are happening so we can become more open, bigger feelers. So we can allow ourselves to feel the pain in us and in others. Yes, it is so much about pain, because living where we are, at the level where we are as humanity at this point, we live superficially, we feel superficially, we take from the neighbor like they don't matter. Like they are not a human. Complete lack of care towards another human life. Not to speak about emotions. So I've got some keywords for this message. We will see how they mesh together, and then we are going to dive deeper into the message, maybe pull some cards for a dynamic. I also got a little card here, and it says angel, spiritual guidance, protection from harm. So these are the key phrases and the keywords. Heart. The heart is dizzy. The heart is dizzy, cannot see clearly something, probably. Rainbow colors, bridge over the ocean, doesn't meet your standards, fear being washed away by the power of God. Everything is not as it seems. Everything can change in an instant. You just have to believe. And then I was getting this vision of a whole lot of light coming out from within. If done correctly, this process of metamorphosis, it is going to be a victory. We are going to be met at the other side of the bridge over the ocean. Here we go. We are going to be met by a self which is made by light. So a sanctified self indeed. If we are not saints, we become saints. What is a saint? And I remember an answer that I gave to my teacher when I was in my first grade. And I told her a saint is someone that doesn't have sins, and I wasn't far from truth. But what is this sin, if we are to translate it in adult terms? Every single thing that you have inside, all the stones that you have inside, have to be understood. They have to be turned. I have another channel. I didn't post there just yet. I just have one video posted over there on the other channel, and it's called No Stones Left Unturned. Why? Because this is supposed to be our priority in life. To figure out why we have these stones in us first and foremost. Why do we have so many? What shade of gray they are? To which demon or devil they pertain? And try to understand, to develop a method or a technique to work with it, to heal, to transmute, to metamorphosize, and to trust. Was something about trust here? You just have to believe, right? You just have to believe. To trust that in the process we are going to be taken care of. And here is where I see this angel, spiritual guidance, protection from harm. That is what we are supposed to do. But instead of that, what society did and is doing still, hopefully not for long, just rushing through life. I want this, I want that. And they go for it, and they still they step on these stones that are within them to get what they think they want. And they get that many times, and even if they realize it is not what they want any longer, they stick with it because fear, hence fear being washed away by the power of God. Maybe some of you out there, you are in situations where you got what you want, but it is not what you thought it's going to be. Something, somehow, it's not a match for your deep frequency. Your soul is not happy. Your soul is dying every single day. The light is shutting off bit by bit every single day because you continue entertaining those stones, and instead of be patient with those stones and try to understand them, you step onto them time and time again, time and time again. What we are supposed to learn is how to walk on water, right? How to walk on water, and the water is underneath the stones. And maybe if we get to understand these stones, if we get to turn them around, maybe we dive so deep, we think we are going to drown. But are we? You just have to believe. You just have to believe. Everything can change in an instant. You might believe that you are falling, but actually, although everything is not as it seems, right? Correct. Although it might seem that you are falling and everything is falling apart, sooner rather than later, you will understand that this too shall pass, and you will fly again. or you are in the process of learning how to fly or to swim, to become lighter. It is unbelievable how many people over the planet are in this process of awakening, if you want. But more than that, there is so much pain, man. There is so much pain in this world, and change is needed, and change is what we get. If something or someone, a situation or a person, they don't meet your standards, you feel it, you know it from the beginning, you just know it. The whole trick here is to trust in yourself. But how can you trust in yourself when you didn't take time to understand what that even means in the first place? The connection there within you with God, it is not in place. It is underneath a pile of stones. Hence, who is going to, what was that saying by Jesus? Who's going to be the first to cast the first stone? Where do you take the stones from? From yourself. You have the stones within yourself. If you wouldn't have the stones within yourself, you wouldn't be capable to judge another. You would be capable to help another, to understand another, to love another. Do you know that the majority of people on planet Earth, they don't have the capacity to love? They think they do, but they don't. Or, in other words, it is so limited. And so much information out there is lying to you, is telling you that you are just doing great, or just do this and do that in order to keep up with the craziness of life. Of what life? It is very hard to get to a point where you can hear God. Heart is dizzy. Heart is dizzy. It is very hard. The heart is the portal between worlds. Through your heart you can hear God. Through your heart you can hear God. There is where you find God. I would say there is where you find Him, but it is not a Him. Or is it? As I said, Him, what came to mind is Elohim. Elohim. Which I'm not supposed, what is, I'm not, I don't know what is the meaning just yet. Oh, Elohim is a Hebrew word meaning gods or godhood. What means Elo? What is Elo? Okay, let's move forward. I'm going to do this research in a second after this recording. God says you cannot see Him. Or her, if you want. It is really up to you. What, if you want to assign it a gender at any moment in time, at a certain moment in time, regardless, you have to come back to him as a child so you can talk to him and he can talk to you. If you accept the situation in your life that's under your standards, it's under your frequency and vibration, that means that you sell yourself, you sell your power, you give your power away to a false god. You give your power away to a false god. Not God told you to be in a certain relationship or in a certain situation, although it might seem like it. God didn't say that. God didn't want that for you. What happens is we have so many stones in us, so much wounding, that we are pulled in a million ways, in a million directions. So we have no idea who we are or what we are here to do. And this is what happened to the powerful energy that God gave to people from the beginning of time, is what he says. We got this energy, angelic energy, archangelic, if I'm to be more. Elohim is the gatekeeper, the heart gatekeeper. There are many gates at the level of our hearts, and Elohims are there guarding it, guarding these gates, allowing energies to enter or to go out, allowing energies to move, basically, in and out. What is interesting here is only a child can live in such wonder that can allow the word of God to get to them, to their ears. It doesn't mean that if you are a grown-up, you cannot do that. What it means is don't lose the innocence. The innocence and the purity of your heart is the key to the kingdom of heaven. The innocence and the purity of your heart. And how do you get there? How do you get there? By speaking your truth. By standing in your truth, you protect your innocent inner child, which is the key to the kingdom of heaven. But the society nowadays, and the people you call good people that haven't done a dime of inner work, are killing that innocence in yourself. Whoever those people are, they tell you, wake up. You are too dreamy. They want to kill that purity and that innocence because they haven't done the inner work. They don't know what they are talking about. And they are many, and you are surrounded by them. And you start to believe them. You start to believe them, and you start to sell your soul to the devil once again, or you continue to do so. This is a message of the humanity. Now is the time for the humanity to wake the F up. We gave our power over and over again to people that they seem, in many cases, much more stable than we are. They are not stable in God. These people are not stable in God. They are stable in a demon, in a devil, in a huge stone, in a huge rock, they are not able to feel. If they are able to feel, that capacity is reduced to minimum. And they say words like, well, this is life. Well, we have to deal with life in this way. Well, no, that is not the reality of things. And we tend, even the others that are, let's say, slightly a bigger capacity of feeling and understanding what they feel, and speaking, processing those feelings, and speaking the truth based on what happened to them. People that have a reduced capacity of feeling, they will drag you down. They won't be able to understand you. They won't be able to build a life with you. They won't be able to be in your corner. They won't be your support system. They won't be your supporters. They won't. You know that feeling of, they might be your family or friends, and they might or might not have your best interest at heart, but what heart? Who their heart belongs to? Do they speak with God like you do? Do they? Is it true that the ones that speak with God are killed nowadays? The ones that see God, the ones that believe, the believers, the feelers, the truth speakers, what is happening? What is happening actually? It is so profound. It can go so profound. People with a limited capacity of feeling would say, oh, that is a conspiracy theory. Is it? Is it? I'm so metamorphosizing at the moment. And although it's what's happening on the planet as we speak is earth-shattering, is heartbreaking, really, and also what's happening in our personal lives, maybe in many cases, in many cases, it's just feels a little bit too much, right? But remember, if done correctly, we are being met on the other side of the, how is it called? Bridge over the ocean. We are going to be met by our sanctified self. And what does it mean, this sanctified self? Means that now we have a whole lot of understanding, a whole lot of knowledge. We now understand what church means in relationship with divine feminine energy. If church is the woman and the divine feminine, and the divine feminine has a whole lot of knowledge, why are the women persecuted as they are? Most of the time it is not done consciously. This knowledge, it is not shut off consciously by any of us. That's why it is so freaking important to do the inner work. That's why. And the man is a dragon, the masculine energy, the protector of the church. The protector of the church. Men are supposed to be protectors, emotionally, financially, spiritually. Where are all these people? Women or feminine energy that can flow in their knowledge, and men that can protect that. And when you see that happening, sometimes they are killed. Sometimes they are killed. What I see happening now is, if you decide to take a step away from whatever it is, career, job, family members, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, take a step away because you realize the alchemical process between you two, it's not good. It is not, it is toxic, it is low vibrational, you bring out the worst in each other. One is growing, the other one has no interest to do so. As you do so, as you take a step back, as you choose yourself, what I'm being told here is fear being washed away by the power of God. Fear of doing so will be washed again away by the power of God. If it doesn't meet your standards, if you have some standards and whatever or whoever is around you, they don't meet them, God is your support system. Isn't that the biggest support system? It is. Although it feels earth-shattering and heartbreaking many times when you realize you don't really have a support system in flesh and bones, right? And it is hard to build that connection with God where you can really feel the support, when you can really hear the voice, right? If you don't hear the voice and the support that God wants to give you, how can you actually move through these experiences? How can you? It is insanely hard. Insanely hard. And then you start looking for answers outside of yourself, and it might work for a while, but new level, new devil. New level, new devil. So you just have to be alert and aware of what devil comes with the new level in this search of truth, search of a connection with God. Okay. seems like we talked about all these key phrases that we received at the beginning, but I feel like we didn't touch something we were supposed to touch, and that is grace. Grace. What is grace by definition? Simple elegance or refinement of movement. We mistake real grace, which is a mix of simple elegance or refinement of movement, a mix of this with speaking real truth. We mistake it with sugarcoating things. We are sugarcoating the stones and the within. We are sugarcoating the stones and the within, and we pack it really nicely through some approved information by people out there. And we sell it to other people. We give this to other people, and other people take it as real and as true. And those people that sell these lies, they will be judged harshly in the near future by the power of God. Selling stones, not Holy Spirit. You are not selling Holy Spirit, you are selling stones just packed up beautifully, wrapped up beautifully. Lies. And you know. And if you don't know, you have an idea. And you sell that to people. You give that to people. You call it a profession. And you realize there is more than that. You understand there is more than that. You still give it to people. And people take it. There is so much rage coming out from God. This rage pertains to hell. We created the hell. It is here. It is in all the pain and suffering. So, there is a difference between kindness, a difference between being graceful in delivering a truth and sugarcoating a stone. Sugarcoating a stone. Many of you feel the fakeness, not only in the New Age spirituality, in religions, right? In religions also. But if you think about it, every single religion and every single spiritual corner of the world has a truth, its truth. You just have to do the necessary work to understand if it applies still as a truth, or if there is any truth around the truth they say is true. And that's how you stay grounded in a reality, in the reality of things. That's how you stay grounded. You know, I was watching last night podcast with a guru, a spiritual teacher nonetheless, from India. And I did understand so many things about myself. Or I think I do. I still have to do the work to understand, actually. I found some similarities, yet I didn't feel like what he was saying applies to me as an individual or to my reality fully. So although I liked it, parts of me didn't liked it. So those parts of me that didn't like it have to come forth to let me know why. Isn't this exhausting to do this work all the time? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But if you do it correctly, you know when to rest, when to ask questions, when to seek for truth, when to just be. It's a dance. It's a dance. You can call yourself chosen one if you want. I don't like labels. Labels are for the weak, as the non-labels are for the strong in these new energies. There is truth in everything if you know how to look at it. But there are so many lies and so much is being hidden. Okay, let's see if we can do a little reading. We can use some cards. And now the train is passing by. I didn't even know I have a... It is the first time, and I've been living here for a while, in this location where I am right now. Oh my god, so many noises. Now the AC turned on. Or the heat, I don't even know. It is the heat. So there is something here with letting go, departure, movement of body, yeah, okay. Movement of body, and listening to the inner child, listening to what the inner child has to say. And you know what? In the metamorphosis, in this metamorphosis we are all going as a collective. We The inner child feels it. The inner child. What is the inner child? It is either a light or a darkness within us, right? It is the light or the absence of light. Let me dive a little bit deeper here. It is everything and nothing. It is the inner child is God. The inner child is God. And so the inner child is God, and also when we put ourselves through this process of metamorphosis, we might not hear God, maybe for 40 days, maybe for 45 days is what wants to come through. That doesn't mean that God is not there in this moment. God now might sound like, I need a break, I'm in pain, I'm confused, my heart is dizzy, right? Okay. It doesn't feel right. Which one? Yes, you might feel confused. Things might not feel right. What used to feel right before, now it doesn't feel right anymore. Rage. You might feel a whole lot of rage. Things might feel stagnant. Maybe finances, maybe career. You might want to jump ship from one career to another. I'm getting here, this is part of the message probably. I mean, everything is part of the message, really. Some people might think they won a battle with the devil when they have no idea what is waiting for them on the corner very soon. Yeah, look at this. Faith over fear. You can cope. My camera is about to die. I'll be right back. When they have no idea what is waiting for them, you can cope. Let's talk a little bit about the dynamic between the connection between the capacity to feel and being addicted to pain. When the capacity to feel is limited, we tend to want to feel pain because that pain is what keeps us in touch with our humanity, with our human self. At least I feel something. At least I feel something. Dealing with your own pain through laughter, it is not necessarily a bad thing, yet it reduces your capacity to feel for others. as they feel for you, some would say, also, so there is a situation here where you might be someone that deals with your pain through laughter, and you are, or you will be surrounded by individuals which don't, or they don't just in the dynamic with you because maybe you display it, maybe you show that to them in one way or another. Indeed. And then what they fail to see is they do the same. They do the same, but in another way. A very clear example coming to mind. A painful situation is happening in the life of someone. You are there. Maybe it's not like you make fun of them. You just make fun of the situation because you are in a position to increase your capacity to feel here. Maybe you don't know how to take advantage of the situation. You don't know how to tell your heart, open up, feel the situation for what it is. I know it's painful. It is okay. We are going to be fine. Faith over fear, right? You can cope. You can cope. Faith over fear. They don't understand that. You don't understand that probably. They might get mad or sad or who knows what. In this dynamic with you, in this mirroring with you, they might show up as very serious or as very bothered. But what they do in other situations, what comes to me right in this moment is they laugh like hyenas. They betray. My right ear is ringing. They betray, they laugh like hyenas at other people's misfortunes, or when they see them fail, or when they see them just, let's say, what seems to be a stupid decision in life, or a stupid way of understanding things or doing things around between these lines. Actually, what they are doing over there, they are doing the same thing you are doing. They are dealing with pain through laughter. They are dealing with pain through laughter, but it's very deep, it is very subconscious. They don't know what they are doing. And what are these hyenas that laugh in their subconscious mind? It's a force that's bigger than themselves. It is there because their capacity to feel is limited first and foremost. They don't have a whole lot of capacity to feel. And no, this is not empathy, is what wants to come through. When I say the capacity to feel, it doesn't. Okay, so empathy is a part of the capacity to feel, yet is, in many cases, part of a dysfunctional self, is what many people, in spiritual communities in particular, and not only, need to understand. When you are graceful and you speak your truth, that false chamber in your heart, which is empathic, but it's dysfunctional, it is not the real deal, dissipates, goes away. Let's come back to our example here. Yes, there is a parting of ways here. Oh wow, okay. Signs and divine timing, the Magi. The vision I have in my mind's eye is how really your light body, a light body, the soul is taking command of the ship. The soul is taking command of the ship, hence Jesus. And as that happens, all the parts of yourself that was living in fear they part ways with the soul. They are not there any longer. And now you get to understand who you really are and what you are here for, who you really are. And now you can actually say you are coping. It is almost like you can cope now, transforms into everything is fine. It is not even coping any longer. It is, I know what this is. It is almost like peace is restored in a situation, in a matter where what felt like coping so far to a false self, now it's an understanding of, I can do whatever I need to do. Now I know. So now I understand why everything had to happen as it happened. Maybe I did cope with life or with situations, with people in the past, but that wasn't me. That was a stone that I didn't turn. It was a stone left unturned. Jesus, follow my lead. And it can be so hard and difficult to follow Jesus' lead. It can feel at times like you are just throwing yourself from the 100th floor of a tall building, of a skyscraper. With any safety net. It might feel like a trap. It might feel like this cannot be. The thing here is, things are deeper than they seem. Coming back to the key phrases, things are not what they seem they are, what they seem to be. This goes in different ways. Things are not what they seem to be, in a sense where it doesn't mean that your desire or what you want here in a situation is bad or is wrong, but what it is bad and wrong is the way you want to achieve it, or the way it should look like. And that is like that because of stones that are unturned on the within. At the same time, this phrase means you might undergo a metamorphosis, as we well know, a process of sorts here, and even if it might seem turbulent, it is a necessary thing to happen in order for you maybe to get that desire in the way that now you are capable to receive. The right way. The right way. Abundance, enjoy life fully, number 51. You know, many teachers out there, many spiritual teachers, okay, so we have now prayer, contemplation, and connection. This card showed up twice and probably has a meaning. Abundance, enjoy life fully. Some spiritual teachers out there, they keep preaching about abundance, how to live an abundant life, most of it is fake. Most of it is fake, right? The real deal, the real work really feels like shattering the fake in us. Is really, it can feel like you throw yourself out of the window of a 100 floor skyscraper. But some spiritual teachers out there, they talk about a certain level in abundance, that it is achievable, and it is what you want. It is what I intended for planet Earth from the beginning of time, is what God says. The evolution of humanity, if you want to call it that way, right, creates more robots than human beings. And now we are in this fight for the human soul, right? Now we wake up. Now we wake up. It is just too much. It is just that drop that fills the cup. It is what many are going through at this moment in time. And another wave of rage passes through me as I get in touch again with this information of some people think they won the battle with the devil, yet they don't know what is waiting for them around the corner. You see some people in some religions or in some spiritual cultures, they have their beliefs set in stone. They already create rigidity. They already create the rigid structures around a certain way of being, seeing things, thinking. When all that matters is to be grounded and rooted in truth. And being rooted and grounded in truth is checking with God. Checking with God. Until I assume you become more and more God. And even if you embody God, the sword of truth within you can be tainted at times just because of the energies you are surrounded with here on the planet. And because of that, at times might not seem or look like you are God. You embody it, you are one with it, like Jesus was, right? Or at least similar. And fasting, in this case, from what I'm being told, creates a barrier of protection against oneself. And now you can hear one again, you can hear God again, once again. And what is this fasting? Fasting from social media would help. Fasting from food, fast, especially if you are one that embodies more light at the moment. You might be someone that you have so much light within you, you don't even need so much food any longer. Fasting from people, fasting from talking, fasting. It's going to help you hear God again. You see, similar but not the same is the truth spoken from a real connection with God, and partial truths that live in the false light matrix, sold as stones, wrapped up beautifully to people, called science. Soon everything will change, or many things will change. Even for you tarot readers, as I promised, says God. Things will change. Some of you will be chosen to speak my truth, and others for you will be chosen to shut up forever. As you sat on the benches watching my prophets, chosen ones as you like to call them, speak truth, been made full of, people laughed at them, people mocked them, and you didn't say anything. As a matter of fact, you laughed. You laughed yourself in one corner of the room. You played with the power of God. Once too many times, time and time again. You watch them being killed, sanctified, petrified. Yet you still don't get it. You still don't understand. Tarot tools, as well as other tools, are being given to some to be tested. As an addiction is closed, this will be closed also for many. And for those who were righteous, they will get to live a long life, beautiful and abundant. And for others, you will get your humiliation processes set in order. And not as a punishment, but as a way of believing in oneself. Because what you need is not what you want, and what you want is not what you need. But it's hard for you to comprehend that at the moment. So you keep doing what I told you not to do. And others are overdoing themselves, overestimating, overcompensating, spreading themselves thin when their light is so strong, and you still don't get it. You still go and buy from the person who sells the tomato 100 miles away from you, instead of buying from your local store. In other words, you see the truth and you feel the word of God pouring out of some of these individuals. Yet you choose deliberately to mock them, to turn your back, like you have done for thousands of years. Thank you so much for listening to my prejudice and judgment. I'll see you in my next one.